right, John. So I'm married to a lifelong Viking fan, so I understand the malady. And she also works very long hours, gets up very early in the morning. And so we're watching the game last night, and I'm not going to quote her directly because I haven't asked permission to do that. So I will just be a little vague about it.
Sources close to the situation.
Sources close to my couch say that someone might have been lamenting, why can't we have nice things? Why can't we have one of the great young quarterbacks in the league? Why did everybody say this guy was good? Okay, I'll stop there. You might be getting the gist. And again, she gets up incredibly early. She works long, hard hours at a very important job, not unlike ours. And she falls asleep. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. It was such a classic window into the Viking fan's soul. Wakes up this morning. What the hell happened? Well, what happened was, here's the funny thing about last night's game. Hey, this is the Viking Update Show. Thanks for listening. He's John Krawczynski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. The Viking Update Show is presented to you by OnX Hunt. We'll tell you more about them later. And we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
Scott for Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. What if your water was so amazing you literally bragged to strangers? With Connecticut, enjoy softer skin and hair, dishes and fixtures that shine like the sun, ice that sparkles like diamonds, and worry-free drinking water. All of this, plus 36 months, 0% financing. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Financing based on credit approval. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Hey, this is Randy Shaver. Along with Kevin Gorg, we host the show Fantasy Huddle on Talk North. Each week, we're going to break down the matchups for the NFL season and try to give you the best chance to win your fantasy football games each and every week. Join us for Fantasy Huddle on Talk North.
We also want to welcome back to the program one of our periodic sponsors, Minnesota State Lottery. Again, we'll tell you more about them later. So the funny thing about sports is even when what you think is going to happen happens in terms of overall results, the way we get there can be bonkers. I thought the Vikings were going to win a close game. I thought McCarthy would play well, but not spectacularly. I thought that it would be an ugly game because it always is a Soldier Field. And I thought Caleb Williams would end up costing the Bears the game in some way. All that happened, but it just happened in this weird sequential way where I did not think McCarthy was going to look terrible early and incredible late. I thought it'd be more of a up and down performance. I didn't think Caleb Williams would light the world on fire to start and then collapse, but that's where we ended up. And it was fascinating. And it might be a great thing for this franchise and the development of the quarterback that he got punched in the face right away and had to prove he can handle that.
So before we get into it, Jim, at any point in the fourth quarter, did you think about nudging your wife and being like, hey, you might want to catch some of this? Or do you know not to, like, when the dragon is sleeping, you let the dragon sleep?
I don't believe in jinxes. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I am a realist, but I anticipated me waking her up as the ball was in flight. And as soon as she was awake, another bear intercepting another pass and returning for another touchdown.
Okay.
Even though I understand jinxes don't exist, I didn't want to be blamed for that kind of a jinx, so I did not.
It's probably the smart move. Probably the smart move. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I do think that, as I watched it unfold, my big takeaway was this is the JJ McCarthy that everyone told you about, right? Like at Michigan, high school, all these things, is that, you know, there may be some physical limitations that if you compare him to Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, all those types of quarterbacks. But what everyone talks about is this intangible toughness, this intangible like ability to lead in adverse situations. And we got the JJ McCarthy Cliff Notes version in one quarter. I mean, to go rock bottom with that pick six and they hadn't done anything to that point. You're thinking, my goodness, this looks completely, he looks just completely overwhelmed. And then to shift into that fourth quarter where he's indomitable and he's the best player on the field, and he just keeps coming at them and making big plays and big moments. I mean, I don't know if you could ask for a better introduction into who this kid is supposed to be than that right there. There are times it's not going to be pretty. Then there's going to be times it looks great. And all through it, he's never going to lose the faith that he's going to figure out a way. It was a remarkable yo-yo that he was on in his very first game, and an unbelievable finish to it.
Also, last night's game, we're talking here on Tuesday morning, of course, was a reminder of how complementary football is. When they couldn't run the ball early, and J.J. McCarthy's facing 2nd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 8, he looked terrible.
Mm-hmm.
When they started running the ball, and all of a sudden they're 2nd and 2, and all of a sudden they're getting first down, so you can open up the playbook, so he can settle in, so he can see the defenses multiple times, he starts playing better. And when all that culminates with a power running game and receivers running open and the defense a little bit on its heels, and McCarthy having seen the defense for a while now, having had multiple plays, all of a sudden he plays better and better and better. I also thought it was really interesting that I thought his receivers let him down for the first 3 quarters. Yeah. Jefferson had a flat drop. Jefferson ran short of the sticks on a completion. Jefferson missed a catch that you can't call it a drop, but it's a catch he always makes. The down breaking to the right, where it was a good throw, not a perfect throw, but a good enough throw. JJ always makes a catch, and he missed it. And then Thielen had a drop too. So between the running game not working early, his receivers letting him down at times, and game flow not going in McCarthy's favor. Listen, we've seen great quarterbacks have bad quarters, bad halves, bad periods. So I don't think the problem for JJ was it's the only thing we'd ever seen in a regular season. So it was the only thing you could base an opinion on.
Right. And I'll add to that, Jim, is in the first at least 2.5 quarters, the interior of the offensive line looked exactly like the interior of the offensive line last year. Yep. They were getting broken down, like they were getting pushed back into JJ's face, and they were really not able to hold the Bears rush off, even when they were only rushing 4. And so as the game went on, you started to see them settle in. But then also, I just think that a huge part of it was they really did go to Jordan Mason and say, hey, we're in a bar fight. We need you to throw some punches. And the way that he came in and really kind of brought physicality and toughness to the whole operation, I think really changed the game. I really do think that the impact that he made and getting in there and saying, I'm running right up your back and right down your throat. And I just think that helped get the Vikings off of their heels. And once he started to settle in and have some success, that I think that shook the Bears a little bit, and it just got the Vikings settled down and back and into the game plan that they needed to have for JJ to be successful.
No doubt. It also didn't help him that Darisaw was out and his blind spot was not protected. So to deal with all that and come back and play great, and I'm not going to recite them all, but the milestones that came out of last night's game. Right? First Viking in a debut to throw multiple touchdown passes. First player since Cam Newton to have 2 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing in an NFL debut. First quarterback since whenever, Steve Young or something, to have 2 touchdown passes and 1 touchdown rushing in a fourth quarter of a comeback win. I mean, there are all these remarkable. I mean, this doesn't happen. This wasn't just, okay, rookie figuring it out and everything was, this was not just like an explain it away type thing. He played better in the fourth quarter with his team trailing than 98% of the quarterbacks before him have done in similar circumstances.
100%. And I do think it's still, Jim, it was galling to me, or just, I shouldn't be surprised, but I was like, after the first quarter, I'm seeing on social media, boy, why did they waste the 10th pick on this guy? Like, what, here's the Vikings. They grabbed a guy from a running offense and this is what you expect. And I was like, can we give this kid, this 22-year-old kid, maybe 5 minutes to figure things out before we're burying him? And I know that there's the scar tissue with Vikings fans, and I know everything that you've all been through, but to see the way that it was, and I mean, there was just very little of any kind of mature view of the situation. It was meltdown central. Now, it did not look good. There's no question. It didn't look good, but come on, guys. Like, and not only just Vikings fans, like NFL analysts, like all this stuff. And now we're going to swing it back the other way where he's literally the greatest quarterback that ever lived. He's going to be the franchise quarterback for 50 years. Maybe he will be, but, can we just calm down on that part of it? But like, I just think that for the game to go as difficult as it was for him early, and then for him to dig deep and find something within himself and within his team, to get over the hump the way that he did, it was uncommon. And even watching on TV, you could see the reaction from his teammates as he started to get rolling. And I do think he does have, if there's a superpower of his, it's getting people to get behind him. And that is such an important quality for a quarterback to have. And you could see it on the sideline. You could see it, them celebrating in the end zone. Like, they like this kid a lot and they want him to be successful. And so I think they give more of themselves trying to make that happen. Agreed.
And the other bit of perspective is we see great veteran quarterbacks have bad halves and bad games. I mean, Tom Brady, before he won his last Super Bowl, the question in New England was, should they bench Tom Brady after a really bad game in Cincinnati? Patrick Mahomes had an entire season last year where he couldn't get the ball down the field. Patrick Mahomes couldn't get the ball down the field. Is that him or maybe the circumstances around him? So I thought when the circumstances allowed McCarthy to show what he's made of, he showed what he's made of. It doesn't excuse the pick six. Terrible throw, terrible decision. Right. But he's not the only guy to ever do that. It's just that because, you know, he didn't have a resume built up, nobody's willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Not nobody, but the people that we're talking about, the overreactors, we're not willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I just kept on saying, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if they actually have a 2nd and 1 instead of a 2nd and 11. Let's see what happens when you know, O'Connell starts figuring out what the Bears are doing, can talk to McCarthy on the sideline about it. This guy just has not had many experiences.
Yeah. And here's the PSA to everyone as we're going to go through this season. Guess what? He's going to make mistakes, guys. Like, he is going to make a bad throw. He is going to go through series where he is not seeing the rush and he can't get out of the pocket and he's sacked and it's 3 and out. And this is all going to be part of the learning curve for him. And so that is one of the reasons why I said that I think they're a 10 or 11 win team and not a 14 win team again, is because you're just going to have that natural process of figuring this game out. And there's going to be games where he stubs his toe and there's going to be moments in games. But what I've always liked about him in talking to people who know him well and following his career is that there is a spirit about him that is not, I don't think, ever going to quit. He's not going to tap out when things are difficult. I think he's going to lock his jaw and say, I'm going to keep going and figure it out. And that was what we saw in his debut, is he had every reason to be just completely crestfallen through 3 quarters. Like, he's at, he's in his hometown. Like, he's been looking forward to this for a year and a half, and it's not going well. And instead of slumping the shoulders and giving in to all of it, he just really dug deep. I mean, I'll go back to it, but he just dug deep and he said, I'm going to keep going. And so that is a quality that will serve him well throughout this whole season. But there will be times, I'm sure, where he struggles, and that does not mean he's a bust. That does not mean it's over for him. It just means he's a rookie quarterback that is finding his way through this thing.
Yes. Let's talk more about him. Let's talk about Caleb. Let's talk about the division. The Packers looking very good. All kinds of developments and special teams on defense for the Vikings. But guess what? There is still time to go fishing, and you should let OnX Fish, ONX Fish, help you find the next best bite. The Fish app offers the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your success. Use the Fish app to find new places to fish and sort lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potential. OnX Fish also shows you hot spots, lake by lake regulations, and private and public land ownership information. Download OnX Fish on the App Store or go to onxmaps.com/fish to get more information about the app that is changing the game. Also went to dinner the other night with some friends, and the only gentleman at the table was telling me that he listens to the podcast. He wanted to know more about Twill. He's intrigued. He wants to go check it out. But, he wanted to make sure that I'm legitimately like this, that I wasn't just saying it because, well, I do legitimately like it. This is the Johnny O hat I bought there. This is one of the Johnny O shirts I bought there. And so he said, why should I go there someplace instead of someplace else? I said, because it's a small staff. Everything's very personal. They'll remember your name. They'll want to talk sports with you. You can go in there, and so many of the times I'm shopping. I'm not a window shopper. If I want something, I'll get it. I want to be in and out 5 minutes. If I'm in a hurry, I go in, I say, hey, can I get this and this? They can size me with their eyes. Tell me, okay, go over here. They save me time. I can be in and out with everything I need in 5 minutes if I want, or I can hang out, sit in a comfy chair, talk sports, browse some stuff, have Scott come by and talk sports. It's just a great shopping experience. Everything I've bought, I've kept. Pretty much everything I bought from other stores I've gotten rid of in favor of my Twill clothes. So yes, I do recommend it. TwillMN.com. Sign up for their email alerts if you care to be alerted when they're going to have a sale. But go in, just say hello to everybody. Tell them that Talk North sent you. Tell them that John Krawczynski and Jim Souhan sent you, whatever you want to say. They listen to the podcast. They get it. Again, they're sports fans who provide great service and great clothes. So I do recommend Twill. Let's go really big picture here before we get more into the Bears. I think it's so easy to overreact after week one. We've seen teams stink it up in week one and go on to win Super Bowls. We shouldn't overreact, but I feel fairly comfortable saying this. The Packers look scary. The Vikings are going to be good. I think the Bears still have a lot of work to do. And I think the Lions don't look anything the same without Ben Johnson and Frank Ragnow. They looked vanilla on offense. They looked unimaginative. They looked tentative. And part of that is the Green Bay's defense, but not all of it, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think my bigger concern than Ben Johnson's departure is Frank Ragnow. It just seems like that so much of their identity was we're tougher in the trenches than you, and we're going to give Jared Goff the time to get back there, pick people apart, and set his feet and throw. And if he can't do that, it's going to be a much different Detroit Lions experience. I mean, I still think they have an incredible amount of talent on both sides of the ball, and so they can figure things out. But it was certainly glaring that the offensive line struggled to the degree that it did. Because we saw it in the Vikings-Bears game when the front is getting dominated or is at least not controlling the line of scrimmage, it just messes everything else up for you. And so I do think like the Packers are uniquely talented in their front seven. And so maybe it was one bad game against a really, really good unit. We'll see how they recover from that. But they certainly do have some real soul searching to do and some, real improvement to do to kind of look at and say, all right, that was just a fluke. We're going to have to see them do it without Frank Ragnow and figure things out that way. Because the whole Detroit Lions persona is we're tougher than you. And they were definitely not that against Green Bay.
And to be clear, I'm not saying the Lions are going to fall apart. And I still think they're going to be a competitive team. I think the defense will be better this year because it's going to be healthier. But the offense that dazzled you, that had your head spinning, I just don't think it's going to be the same. And what they love to do is run it down your throat and then light you up because you're having to worry about the run so much. And I'm just not sure they're going to be able to do that this year. I do think Ben Johnson was a great offensive coordinator. So let's transition to the Bears now. Caleb Williams, I thought it was fascinating last night. the early part of the game, the scripted part of the game, the part of the game where you see the defense you expect to see, he goes 10 for 10. The rest of the game, he was an absolute mess. He was good when things were scripted, and he was good on certain plays late when he knew that it was the right time to scramble around to try to make something happen. He missed open receivers. He didn't throw to open receivers. And I thought the classic Caleb Williams moment last night was Vikings bust the coverage. DJ Moore, his best receiver, is running open, wide open for a touchdown. Anything in his vicinity is a touchdown. And Caleb just doesn't miss him. He throws it 10 yards over his head. And what does that come down to? It comes down to thinking you can make any throw on the planet without setting your feet and following quarterback protocols and fundamentals. He just thinks he thinks he can skip a step. He thinks he can throw it from here. He can throw it from here. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Only Mahomes can do that. And Mahomes trains himself, as we saw in the quarterback series. Mahomes has trained himself to make those throws. Caleb Williams just misses throws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we saw, I remember the one throw early on where he's scrambling and he's flushed out to the right side, and then he throws it down the sideline and it's a dart. And you're looking at it, you're like, man, that's impressive. Like, how many quarterbacks can do what he just did? But I also think that there's an element of danger in that play, because it does seem like he is relying solely on his athletic ability to throw a football and not in any of the finer points of technique, of reading the defense, of all of the things that you need to do to play at a high level. And I thought it was really interesting, listen to Troy Aikman really break it down, even in the early part of the game where he's 10 for 10 and he was making good decisions and having some success. Troy was still saying, you know what? There are guys open down the field for bigger plays that he's just not seeing. And so I thought it was really great work by Aikman, because there are a lot of TV guys in that situation. Game one, you've been kind of gassed up by Ben Johnson, Caleb the whole time. They go right down the field and score, and you're okay, here it goes. Like, this is a match made in heaven and it's going to be great. And this is working out. But Troy was cautioning people through that whole stretch. Like, look, there are guys open down the field that he is not seeing. And that is putting a lid on what they could be accomplishing right now. And then that carried over as the Vikings pass rush finally got going, as they finally got kind of in his face a little bit more. And as the pressure started to ramp up, then he's airmailing throws. He's missing guys. That one where he is kind of scrambling and then just steps out of bounds rather than throw the ball away. Like, those are the kinds of decisions, that all kind of follow what we've been hearing about Caleb for the better part of a year. And I think Ty Dunn had a big, long expose on his long reads where, of just all the concerns about Caleb Williams and what he's not doing. And I just think that, after that first drive, really, for them, which was really impressive, there was next to nothing for most of the game going forward. And so I do think that the Bears have a lot of question marks, and it starts at quarterback. And if that's not your guy, man, is that a huge setback, for going forward.
I still remember watching Caleb Williams play his last year in college. I think it was Notre Dame game. Every time he's under pressure, he's threw up for grabs. And I'm like, this is the number one pick. And I really think the football world brainwashed itself. He was the best player going into high school. He was Heisman Trophy winner, I think his second full year at USC. Talent, arm talent, charisma, all that stuff, ability to run around and look like Mahomes. I think NFL scouts talked themselves into believing he was the next big thing and stopped analyzing, because it was so obvious to those of us who are not, breaking down 8,000 hours of film and who are not talking to 85 million people and getting behind the scenes access and all that. It was so obvious to most of us that Jaden Daniels was a better quarterback coming into the draft, that he was the obvious number one pick. And I wouldn't have taken Caleb Williams in the top 10 You know, I thought he was a project. I didn't think he was number one. And now we're seeing it. And I'm sorry, I don't see it. I do not see it. I'd rather have JJ McCarthy. And I'm not even saying JJ McCarthy is going to be like a top 5 Joe Burrow type quarterback, but I would rather have JJ McCarthy today than Caleb Williams.
I mean, we have the basketball podcast, and that's kind of where I make a lot of my money. But it feels like Caleb is LaMelo Ball.
Yep.
You know, like he can put a highlight reel together where you look at it and you're like, holy cow, like this guy is physically incredible. And with some of the throws that he can make, but it's like, can you win games? Like, can you lead a team? Do you do the work that needs to be done to inspire people to get behind you? And some of that stuff, you know, it sounds wishy-washy, but it is incredibly important with quarterbacks to be able to do that. And you just watch the way that he goes about his business. You listen to what people say about him, and we just haven't seen it. Could he mature into it? Yeah, he could. Could Ben Johnson figure things out with him? I think he could. But to this point, we have seen all flash and very little substance. And I think that should be a primary concern because, you know, that Ty Dunn did the reporting of basically Ryan Poles didn't do any sort of due diligence on the other quarterbacks in the draft, that it was just Caleb. This was all it was going to be. And that's just disastrous if that's the case. And he does not sort of, if the light bulb doesn't come on and he does not figure this out, it's a 5-year mistake at least. And that's what it looks like, at least right now.
Jaden Daniels, bigger, faster, he's a better runner.
Skinnier.
He's skinnier. Better runner.
Yeah.
Better passer, better deep ball thrower, played against better competition, and I think has a better personality. I mean,
for sure.
I just couldn't believe
100%.
To me, I don't even understand how you could take one over the other.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jaden Daniels, I think Drake May, I don't know as much about him, but I think, and then JJ, like, as far as leaders of men, I think it's head and shoulders above what Caleb has shown to be. And I think what people wondered about him going into the draft even. So, there does seem to be something missing from a fiber standpoint with Caleb so far. And if you're missing that as a quarterback, it's really hard to overcome that, because there's only so many things you can do. You know, there's only so many highlights, and like your veteran teammates around you aren't going to be seduced by that kind of stuff. And so, I think that, I mean, we've already seen Jaden Daniels is like asserted himself. He is the leader of that team. There is no question about it. We saw JJ really grab hold of that thing last night, I think, and in a way that I don't know that Caleb is capable of doing. And that's a real problem.
Let's talk about 2 quarterbacks coming to town this week. I know we should talk about positions other than quarterback. Quarterback's the most fascinating position in sports. It just is. First, though, I want to welcome back Minnesota State Lottery.
She's Jen, the ultimate Vikings fan.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the Vikings Jan Show Fan Show. My special guest today is Jared Allen. So, Jared, who you got for the Vikings game this week?
Minnesota Vikings.
Me too. So that's our show. We'd like to thank our sponsor, the Minnesota Lottery, who reminds you this could be your year. Play the new
Vikings
scratch game for a shot at $100,000, game tickets, and more. Minnesota Lottery. I'm in. Must be 18 or older to play.
And here's Talk North star Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
So Sunday night, Michael Penix, who I really liked coming out of college, Kirk Cousins, who had a great year here a few years ago. Another fascinating matchup. And so I loved Penix at college. I liked him as somebody you take somewhere in the first or second round. I didn't see Falcons trading up to get him. But I will admit this about my quarterback evaluation skills. What I loved about Penix in college, the way he could sling it downfield. Guy had a step.
Yeah.
The ball was on him. He's not doing that right now. He is not completing passes downfield. He's dinking and dunking. He's running around. He's making competitive plays, but he's not the down the field slinger I thought he was going to be. And he does have talented receivers to work with. That I don't know if that's a fatal flaw or if that is just something he's got to work through as a young quarterback.
I mean, I can't say, I haven't watched every snap that he's taken so far, but I want to give him the benefit of the doubt in that. I do think the natural progression for a young quarterback is, and for a coaching staff coaching a young quarterback is, let's make things easy on him early. Let's just get him in a rhythm. We're going to just spray it around, throw it out to the flats, keep it short, keep it simple. Do not have any disasters. I honestly think that's what KOC did with JJ a lot in the first half. There was not a whole lot of, hey, let's cut it loose. Yep. It was, let's be careful. Let's try and get him some confidence going. And I think it kind of came back to bite him a little bit early on with the conservativeness of it. And so, maybe that's the case with the Falcons. Maybe it's not, but I think that I want to see Penix take some time to settle in, because you're right. At Washington, I mean, he reminded me of Byron Leftwich in a way of like, stand in the pocket, take a hit, throw it down the field, and put it right on the mark. And I thought he was just incredibly impressive with what he did there, getting them to the national championship game, even, overcoming a bunch of injuries and all those things. I think he's a super tough kid. I think that as he settles into that offense, I'm hoping and I believe that they'll open it up a little bit more and give him a little bit more down the field. And so I'm willing to just wait and see on that, because a lot of times these young guys, there's so many things coming at them that I think there's a desire to just, let's do the simple thing. And sometimes that can backfire because it makes it a lot easier to defend, and it's just slows everything down. So we'll see, but Sunday night will be interesting, because I think, Jim, I don't know this for sure, but I think the Vikings really liked Penix in the draft as well.
I've heard that they did too.
Yeah. And so it would have been very interesting if they're on the clock and both Penix and McCarthy are there. What do they do? I don't know, but it was a surprise when Penix went to Atlanta. And I think that there's people in that front office that thought he was going to be there waiting for them as well. And when that didn't happen, they made sure to just do what they had to do to get McCarthy. But yeah, it'll be a fun thing to watch. These two young quarterbacks that both teams are building around and in the spotlight Sunday night. It should be an interesting matchup.
Yes. Let's get to the Vikings. The defense, the defense played well enough to win, but the fact that a lot of their success to me was based on Caleb Williams messing up leaves me a little bit of concern. Harrison Smith, we don't know if he's going to be back from his illness. Blake Cashman, who was one of the keys to the defense. We saw how differently they played when he was hurt last year. I will say that last night they seemed to fill in pretty well for him. Maybe they. I'm looking at their linebacker. I mean, I thought Eric Wilson
was really good.
Maybe that diminishes the effect on him, and maybe you get Smith back. You're missing Cashman. Maybe that's a wash. Once again, early season, a lot of season left, but the secondary still leaves me a little unsettled.
I agree, Jim. Like I thought for much of that game, I was watching the game unfold and I'm like, the defense has been fine, but it's not been what we expect it to be. It has not been, we are going to shut this thing down and dominate. I do think they benefited a little bit from Caleb missing some throws. They did do what they had to do as the game went on. They really stopped the run. They got after Caleb and got him on the ground once or twice. Hargrave got him. After missing probably 3 or 4 chances to sack him in the first quarter and a half, they finally kind of got through, but it was a solid performance, even though for the most of the game, they'd given up 10 points.
Right.
And it was like, okay, like you're on the road, you give up 10 points through 3 quarters, you feel great about it. But, I do think that they have another level to get to. And I do wonder about the defensive backfield and can they really do what needs to be done to give the pass rush time to get home and all of those things. The Falcons do have a good receiver core, and there are going to be challenges that way. But my guess is that Brian Flores will come out of that game and say, yeah, it was a solid start, but we have to be a lot better.
Yeah. I was impressed by Miles Price as a return man. I thought he did really well. I think he really gives them a completely different dimension. Really impressed that he could come on and impress them that much in camp and have a really good first game, especially on that footing, which is not great. Also Van Ginkel, once again, flash is just somebody who's just reads offenses so well, can just jump passing routes, knock down balls.
Almost had that pick six
almost
again.
Had another pick six. Man, what a find he was.
Oh, he's tremendous. Just like, always in the right place at the right time, it seems like, and great timing and great instincts. But you're right. Like I came away from that game incredibly, the JJ thing goes without saying, but the 2 guys that I just loved were Jordan Mason and Miles Price. Like in terms of like looking at things that are repeatable and that you can really hang your hat on. It's been a while since the Vikings have had a return man that could be a little dangerous like that. And I mean, we've wondered if Wangwu was going to be that guy. We've wondered if Chandler was going to be that guy. But a punt return guy like what Marcus Sherrills, is that the last guy that the Vikings have had that was like a threat?
Yeah.
So, he showed just great wiggle, and really he looked very comfortable back there. He was not tentative at all. And so where that once was a real question mark, I have no worries going forward as long as he can keep doing that. I mean, I thought his performance was unexpectedly excellent, and that's, it was needed. Like he really did jumpstart them a few times.
I remember back in the day, you could actually sit around and argue with NFL coaches. And I remember having a conversation with Bernsey about Leo Lewis, and
fair catch, Leo.
Yeah, I was like, Jerry, everybody loves Leo. I still love Leo. Played his golf tournament this year. And he was incredibly reliable and professional. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Jerry, don't you want somebody who's actually going to break one once in a while? He says, I don't want a punt returner. I want a punt catcher. I just want him to catch the punt. Catch the punt.
That is a perfect Bernsey impression. Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, man. Well, that's the best I can do. So we're going to leave it there.
Yeah.
We'll be talking to you next week following the Falcons game. It's going to be a fascinating season. And I could not have started off any more fascinating than it did on Monday night. Any other final thoughts you want? And by the way, you should also check out talknorth.com for all of our other shows. Listen to the John Krawczynski show, who does a great job of that. It's one of our most popular shows on the network. We have 3 Viking shows. We have Russo on hockey, Randy Shaver on high school football, Randy Shaver and Kevin Gorg on fantasy football, Don Mitchell's interview show. Mark Rosen Sports Monday, outdoor content. Check it out. We do appreciate it. Give us a final thought, John.
Yeah, I just think that, in terms of the way that a game could play out, I don't think that there's any better scenario for the Vikings and for JJ McCarthy than what happened. Because let's just say that he comes out last night and just lights the world on fire, throws 350 yards, 4 TDs, and just is lights out. Of course you'd take it and it'd be impressive and it would be nice going forward. But I think the fact that it was so ugly early, the fact that he stayed with it and then finished so spectacularly, I think that's actually going to be more effective in terms of this whole process of winning this team over, of taking that job and running with it. And so the circumstances of really looking ineffective early on and then coming out of nowhere and pulling the rabbit out of the hat the way that he did is going to just be great for him going forward in terms of like really proving himself to everyone. And so it was the ideal setup.
Thank you, John. Thanks to everyone who listens. Thanks to our sponsors. We really do appreciate it. And we will talk to you next week.